Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2025 season. And on this week's Redvee TV Show, we will look ahead to Saints' visit to Cas, a new celebrity fan, and the Challenge Cup draw.
Excellent.
May as well give a running order. Maybe a new thing.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe a new way of
Why
doing
not?
things. It's almost, it's
It will.
almost like we've got a planned show.
Yeah. No,
We'll
you're
dig in
joking.
anyway. Number 9, show of the
We've,
year. Cas Vegas awaits
oh,
Kevin. Who needs Las Vegas when we can go to
when you've
Cas
got
Vegas?
gold stand in the railway end at Castleford. I think the weather's set fair at the moment, so at least we're not going to get soaking wet, or I don't think we are. Famous last words.
And save an awfully lot of money on an overpriced flight to somewhere that you don't really want to go to. When the
I'm just going to
delights of
check the weather.
Normanton await.
You can see all the sites like the Haribo factory if you go along the 62.
Yeah,
So
yes.
no problems with that.
Anyway, Kev, how are you?
Better, yeah. Still, suffering a little bit, but yeah, that's why I missed the game on Saturday. Still suffering a bit, but hopefully on the mend.
You've got to see the humour in probably missing the first game in a long time out for illness and then Saints putting a record score on. You need to stay away more often.
Oh, I was fully expecting us to put 100 on them when like the score started just ticking over. I just thought second half we'll absolutely pummel these and we'll end up putting 100 on them, and I've missed it because I'm currently suffering with sinusitis. Not it's nothing self-inflicted, just something that I suffer from time to time. So it is what it is, David. It is what it is.
We missed you.
Well, it seems now that Smudger's had more appearances on Redvee than we have. Uh,
Well, do you know what? He's super subbing in at the weekend for me. So it's you and Smudge again at the
yeah,
weekend.
yeah, yeah,
We're gonna have to get him a
yeah.
top at
I'm
this
sure.
rate. Actually, I did
Yeah,
suggest
well,
I did suggest we get him a top, and he went, "I'll just make my own."
yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
Right. Squad news then, Kevin. Let's get straight into it.
but yeah. Two changes to our squad. Moses and drops out, as does Lewis Murphy, who has suffered a hamstring injury that is expected to keep him out 8 to 10 weeks. Jake Burns and George Whitby, the two to come in.
You couldn't really write the script, could you? On debut, Lewis Murphy having a great game. Game's won, and then second half he feels his hamstring, and you automatically think, please not again this year. Um, really bad luck for him, especially when he's looking to kickstart his career. The only beneficial thing is he's done it early year. We've got a couple of free weekends potentially if we don't get through in the cup. But you hope he's back round about Good Friday time, maybe.
Well, 8 weeks from announcing it, 8 weeks would take him to Good Friday week, so it may well come a little bit early. It just depends how he kind of reacts to the treatment, and I'm sure he'll do his due diligence on his rehab. But it may well be that it's a couple of weeks later and we see him again end of April, beginning of May time.
We've got a little bit of squad depth this year, and easy option. John Bennison straight in on the wing.
Yeah, we've kind of had a chat, obviously, in a couple of WhatsApp groups and that, and chatted about the different permutations we could have. I think it'll just be John Bennison straight in. I think we said in the show last week that he'd be unlucky to miss out, and I don't think I could choose who would get the nod there. He was the man in possession of the shirt at the end of last year. I think it's just his chance now for the next couple of rounds of Super League to stake his claim to be the left winger. for the he'll be trying to stake it for the rest of the season. Whether that will happen, I wouldn't necessarily think so. And that's nothing against John. I just think Lewis Murphy's, if he's fit, gives you that point of difference with his speed.
He'll have felt wounded last week, missing out, I'd suggest. And you know what? Maybe that little bit of hunger. And he's going to come into the team a pretty much a full strength team, isn't he? And he'll
Yeah,
probably feel this is a really big opportunity because when we talked about him in his player preview, he's got a really good strike rate. Now, if he's got chances being created for him outside of Mark Percival, he could go really well.
he could do. I think he's a solid enough option there. I know, like last season, again we mentioned it before, and I've no problem with mentioning it again. The Salford game, he didn't have his best day, and we were saying that somebody else just needed to be taken out the firing line, really. But he should have grown from that. We always talk about improvements in players. One of the improvements that players need to make is when they've hit adversity to learn from it. There's no point just going, yeah, I've been through it, right? I know what happens now, and then make the same errors over again. I'm sure John will be looking to cement his place. He currently wears number 5, so he'll be looking to cement his place in the team. And as part of a full team, you'd hope that the ball will be given a bit of air and put onto our outside backs for them to have opportunities near the try line, and it's not just trundling it up from our own 20 all game.
Yeah, 24 tries in 57 appearances for John Bennison. Interestingly, our number 3, Conrad Harrell, is once again missing from the 21-man squad. I suggested last week on the show that you may see him out on dual reg at Halifax. That was indeed the case. And he went out at the weekend, played, and it probably looks like he's going to be remaining there this week as well.
Yeah, I think it's good for him. I think obviously the injury that he had and finished his season last year is a tough injury to come back from. I know we've said our piece on whether we'd have given him a contract for this year, but while his contract's at the club, I think being able to get him out to a club like Halifax and get him good game time is better for him than him just sitting in the stands. And I think Connie needs this game time, needs probably a bit of confidence back in his game as well, because we played against Salford in the Morgan Knowles testimonial game, and then we played West Hull. So he's not really had a full 80-minute hit out, has he? I don't think he played 80 minutes in the friendly, but not surrounded by who you'd expect him to be surrounded by as well. All them changes that we made in the friendly game obviously mean that it's not a cohesive, fluid performance. I think just getting him out there, getting him game time, because you look, and we kept mentioning this in pre-season, we're very light in the centres. There's another centre who hasn't been named there who we'll get onto in a bit in Ben Davis. So we're very light in the centres. We are an injury away from needing Connie in there. So to get him match sharp, even if it is at a lower level, I do think it is the right thing.
Given that we picked the team last week and we didn't play a competitive game against Salford, it's hard really to see Wello making any real changes this week. I would suspect Noah Stevens, Jake Burns, and George Whitby are the 3 to miss out. The only question mark is if Iggy Parsi is fit enough to take a place in the 17, and if so, does he come in ahead of maybe Jake Wingfield?
I wouldn't have thought so, just because I think Jake Wingfield offers you that. I hate myself for saying this, that option at 9. Um, and he can play pretty much anywhere in the pack. He can play prop, he can play second row, he can play 13. And I think having that is needed. Yeah, you've got James Bell, who could also spell at 9, but you want him at 13 when Morgan comes off the field or moves into the front row, whatever
And,
we
and I
do.
think Wingy did do
Um,
a spell at 9 last week, didn't he?
he did. He did.
And I only noticed it
As I
because I
say,
was
I'd
sat there. I
rather.
was sat there thinking, "What's Kev going to be thinking?"
Listen, it's not my favourite thing to see. I'd rather see a specialist 9 at 9. Um, but if it's for 10, 15 minutes and Wingy can distribute the ball out as well as he did, albeit against Salford reserves, then listen, needs must. I just, yeah, I just think that the one who would probably be in trouble on our bench is possibly Matt Whitley. He could be the one that Iggy comes in for.
Okay. Castleford squad.
Yeah, so 2 changes for them as well. And they've signed Lee Kershaw on loan from Hull KR, and Alex Mellor has come back into the squad as well. The aforementioned Ben Davis, his 2 week loan from Saints is up, and he won't take part for Castleford this week. And Will Tate has suffered an injury, which may keep him out for 4 months, and he misses out. So 2 changes for them too.
I'm probably going to sound really ignorant here. There's a couple of the players in that squad I had to look up. I'm thinking, are they real players or are they AI generated names?
Wow, okay. They've got the best named. I'm going to say like 1999 era Super League player name in that squad. And he's just signed a new deal with them, and that's Fletcher Rooney. It just sounds like he belongs round about the 1998 1999 season, like a stalwart of the likes of Castleford in kind of that era.
Zach
I
Cheney
just think
sounds
it's a
like something you
brilliant,
should be
brilliant
eat.
throwback.
Zach Cheney sounds like something you should be eating with a nice pasta sauce.
Right, he's going to come back and haunt you for that now. That's the clip there.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a couple more. I'm thinking, really? I had to look up Zach Cheney. He's actually made. He's 24. He's actually played in the NRL 4 times since 2021. 6 career appearances, and he's 24. So
So
put
he's
your money
probably
on
been
him now.
playing. Yeah, he'll have been playing the lower grade, which is still a good grade over there. I think for me again, it's kind of the unknown with some of these players. Are they going to all gel together? And then add to that, we've not had a proper hit out, I'd argue, since that Salford game that a lot of our players only played a half of. We've played the amateurs at West Hull. We've played Salford's reserve and fringe players. This is our first test for this year, first real test, and I hope we're not going in underdone.
Here's a question for you, Kev. If that
Mm-hmm.
Salford team last week had played West Hull,
Ooh.
who'd have won?
I think Salford. I do think Salford because I just think they'd probably just the fitness would have carried them through. I think we were full strength and were utterly, utterly ruthless and professional. And if we'd have been playing West Hull and played the same team and been utterly ruthless and professional, we'd have put a massive score on them. As it was with West Hull, we just didn't show our hand, got through the motions, and took the foot off the gas after about 50 minutes.
If you'd have asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have said this game was an absolute pretty much banker for Saints to get off the board points wise. If even if he hadn't beat Salford full strength, this cast team Saints would go there, do a job on them. And then I watched them play against Hull KR last week, and how they bounced back after that Bradford Bulls Cup game, and I was really impressed by them. I thought Danny Maguire done a really good job with them, and they were very, very unlucky not to come away with the 2 points. If Tex Hoy had had his kicking boots on, they would have won the game. And that's no mean feat to go to Hull KR and come close to getting the results. And unfortunately, Golden Point does what Golden Point does and flip a coin pretty much. So it almost feels like this is a really good step up for us this week, and it actually is a challenge that we have
Yeah,
to go there and meet.
yeah, 100% agree with you on that. I think this is no gimme. Um, I think playing these who have had a couple of setbacks, so getting beaten by Bradford, they've hurt and they've gone back and they've got a response from it. Can they do it 2 weeks in a row? I'm not going to necessarily say they can't. Um, I will when we do our predictions at the end predict Saints to win, but I don't think it's necessarily, as you say, a gimme. This isn't a walkover. This promises to be a good game and a relatively even game. I can't see it being like, was it last year when we had the man sent off? Tommy Makinson got sent off and we just put the hammer down and went for it. I think it'll be a lot tighter just because, as I say, I hope we're not going in underdone through no fault of our own, through having to play that Salford team that got sent out last week.
Yeah. One player I was really impressed with in that Tigers team last week was Fletcher Rooney. As you say, made up name from 1999, but
Love it.
really good, and I believe he's signed a new contract there this week. One player who does miss out for Castleford this week is St Helens' very own Ben Davis. Um, Although he could have played, Wello said in the presser that he'd had a conversation with Danny Maguire and they felt it wasn't right to put him in that situation playing against his parent club. And not putting him in that situation, which it's the right move for Saints 100% because imagine if Ben Davis crossed, scored the winning try, and that was the difference between Saints finishing in a top two playoff spot or finishing third and having an away semi and potentially costing your season. You don't you pay your players to do your damage, do you?
Yeah, I think it's a fair call to say that we're not going to put him in that situation. Um, we saw, because we see quite a bit on social media, people saying it was a daft move. But I think the tweet that we put out was saying it was a good move for Ben because he'd get game time over at Castleford. Whether it was a good move on behalf of the club, listen, they've had a player go out and be in a Super League 17 and get game time. So it's good for us getting the fitness wise up there. But I also think that some people were seemed to think that Ben Davies was going to turn into Jamie Lyon after the poor lad gets absolutely hammered for no real good reason week in week out, personally hammered. I think a lot of people were worrying a little bit too much about the move. If it had played over there, I don't think I'd have been overly concerned with it. But I do, in hindsight, think it's a good move not to put him in that situation.
Yeah, listen, it could even work the other way. He's in the cast team and he makes a tackle and it injures a Saints player for the year unintentionally. Can you imagine the
Yeah,
pelters the poor lad would get? It's just not a
yeah,
situation you want to put him in. Equally, I do think that you'll probably see him go back there next week. And we will work it on a rolling basis. I wouldn't let him go for the season without any sort of recall option if we have 4 or 5
yeah.
injuries and the lad's been at Cas lighting the place up all season. Have that option of bringing him back.
I think you've got to. Again, we literally said it a couple of minutes ago. We're light in the centres, and for all the best will in the world, if we end up another centre down this week, and then we end up having to play, we'll say Matt Whitley in because Connie's not quite ready, and you lose somebody through suspension, Connie gets cited at Halifax. He's going to have to come in and play. You're not necessarily going to throw somebody like Owen Dagnall in for 20 games to run out the season if you end up with a bad injury run. There's two other lads who you potentially would play at centre who we've spoken about at length who will be that far down the pecking order that Ben Davies would have to come back in. I think you're absolutely bang on that you need a recall
And
with him if he does go back.
I think if Ben Davis is playing centre for Cass at Super League level and playing really well, and Connie's playing for Halifax and all right, doing a job but isn't standing out, who's your better option? potentially Ben Davis. He
Well,
leapfrogs Conrad Harrell for the standard he's playing at. It's interesting to note that it's Ben Davis who's gone on dual reg and not potentially like Connie. Oh, sorry,
what
out
on
on
loan?
loan. Out on loan.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I saw from Halifax was he said Connie went in with the right attitude. So whether it is a case of he gets that game time, I suppose it's have Cas got quarter spots?
Possibly, yeah. But I was just thinking after it said it,
Have they
but yeah,
got quarter?
possibly.
I, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they have or not. They may well have one free, but if they have one free, do they want to use it up on Connie week by week, or do they want to use it up on he's come available from the NRL or from a feeder club? We'll bring him in instead.
One man who will be supporting Saints this week, Kev, new celebrity fan, Paul Hawksbee.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, Alex Walmsley was on Hawksbee and Jacobs this afternoon. If you're watching this on Thursday, yesterday, if you're watching it on Friday, I'm not going to go through all them. And Paul Hawksbee nailed his colours to the Redvee mast, didn't he?
Indeed, given a number one jersey by the club. Do you know what? You declare your love for Saints and you get a free jersey.
Where have we been going wrong?
Don't
I'll have
know,
a
Kev.
hoodie.
Been moaning too much.
Yeah, that's yeah,
But nice little bit of
yeah.
promotion. And Alex Walmsley went on and previewed the Super League fixtures and I thought spoke really well as well. Good to be getting the players the exposure on national radio. And I think Hawksbee and Jacobs, is it the longest running sports talk radio show in the world? Am I
I
right
think
in
it is.
saying?
Yeah, I think it is. It's a staple of the afternoons. If you listen to Talk Sports, it's been on for absolutely years and years. And listen, as the game is at the moment, we need all the eyes we can get on the sport. We need all the publicity we can get. Whether you think that it's Tin Pots, Warrington calling the stadium the Luke Littler Stadium for a night, it doesn't matter. You've got to realise that that has got eyes on the game, and us getting Alex Walmsley on what is a primetime radio show, getting our colours pretty much advertised there by Paul Hawksbee. Um, Listen, it's great publicity, not only for us but for the game in general.
Yeah, Paul Hawksbee's also a Spurs fan as well, so he's got more chance of seeing success with us.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right, speaking of success, Challenge Cup draw was made at Saints at half time last Saturday, and Saints drew Leeds Rhinos at home in the Challenge Cup. And I was quite happy for us to be drawn against Super League opposition at home. It's a chance to get one of them out of the competition early, rather than having to try and face them later down the line. And do you know what? Leeds probably not really a rival in this competition or an option for winning the cup, but it's a nice step up for us, isn't it?
Oh, you've done it! You've done it again. Gone winding Leeds up straight away. I think it promises to be another one that's a good game. I know Leeds obviously didn't start the Super League season too well. I'm sure they'll be looking to do exactly what we're doing and get a good run in the cup.
You know what will
And
be
try.
really good, Kev? There was a couple of Leeds fans in pre-season. I can't remember some little show that they do, and they were laughing about the Leeds winger who's got injured for the year,
Yeah,
potentially running over John Bennison, and how John Bennison should go and sit in the stands. We'll have to find that clip. Make sure John Bennison's aware of it for when he strolls in for his hat trick and celebrates in front of the 50 Leeds fans that will probably make the journey.
it was. Yeah, it's I suppose one of them disrespectful things that people can be prone to saying.
Not us though.
No, one thing though, just to take us go back to that picture. Are them two men stood on the roof, or are they attached to the trophy?
On the roof.
Anyway, carry on.
With the Archangel Gabriel coming down from the sky. Ticket prices. Do you know what? First time I've seen these today. When I added them to the show. Um, really good pricing. To be fair,
I think it's very competitive. I think it is a very wise move from Saints because they want you want people in the ground. So to do that, you've got to price it competitively. To go, I know it's Friday nights that we're playing rather than Saturday, but to be able to get a ticket for, even if you're not a member, to sit down as an adult for less than 20 quid, I think is absolutely spot on. Yeah, if you're a member, great. You can go get an adult ticket for 12 quid stood up. But I think we've thought about this one, and I think we've done it well.
Kids under 16, free as well, if you're a member. And even if you're not, it's still only a fiver. So potentially for 20 quid, even if you're not members, for 20 quid, dad and lad, mother and daughter, mother and son, dad and daughter, two tickets for 20 quid. It's fair play. Absolutely no issues with the pricing at all there. And yeah, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I think that's always a worry that you consider, we might just knock a couple of quid off it and make it 20 quid for it. But at least we're giving ourselves a chance of getting a decent attendance in the stadium by putting the prices at that level. There'd be nothing worse than us getting it just slightly wrong and putting people off. And I think again, as you say, for a member to be able to sit down for 15 quid and take an under 16-year-old for free, I think is absolutely marvellous pricing from Saints. Well done to them. We don't always whinge.
We
When they
don't.
get it right, we applaud them.
Yes. Much better than Leeds pricing for the game last season, who were selling adult tickets for Saints Leeds in the Cup at Leeds, where they charged £23 for standing, £28 for reserve seating. Uh, Concessions 60 for over 65 with 18 quid and £23 for seating. So Saints have got it right, Leeds got it wrong. Let's make sure we back it up and get a good following on the paddocks for this one.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. It's all very well having the good pricing. I'm just hoping that people can afford to go and spend a Friday night watching Saints at those prices, and that people don't kind of just or are in a situation where they can go to the game rather than watch it on the Sportsman.
Okay, we are done, Kev.
Excellent.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And the beautiful Kevin will be joined by Smudger on Saturday for the instant reaction. Catch you soon.